If you want to know the details, that's fine, but let's just say I ended up in something called DYS, which I'm from Massachusetts, I'm not from Florida. DYS is where you go when you're a minor and you get arrested, right? And I was there for about 6 months, and I met a lot of people there who I was always told were bad people, right? I was raised in the church, and I was like, these are bad people because they did bad things. But I realized, like, living with these girls, they weren't bad people, right? They just had bad things happen to them. Maybe they made bad decisions, but none of them were bad people, right? Even the girl, there was a little white girl with a bow in her hair, and she was in there for murdering her mother, right? She was, and she's like supposed to be the worst person there, but I got to know her, and she might have made this horrible mistake in her life, but I didn't see her as a bad person. And then when my time was up, I did my time. I remember being in a courtroom, and my mother stood up in the courtroom and said she didn't want me home. I'll never forget that. She didn't want me home. She didn't want me there. She was scared of me. She was like, no, she's not coming home. So then what happened, right? Then I ended up in a placement program. I was there for 30 days, and they decided, is she going to go to residential or is she going to go to group home? Residential programs where I lived growing up were kind of more strict, like more militant. That's where if they were like, yeah, you're not doing well, you need more discipline, you need more structure, you go to a residential program. Group homes were a little more relaxed. You could earn more freedoms, and you just lived with a bunch of other girls, and you worked your way up. So through all this time, I'm going to school, I'm not going to school. I'm going to school, I'm not going to do. I made it to the group home, I was doing well. What did I do? I left. I ran away. I left everything, right? For various reasons, right? I was 16, and there were other things in my life that I thought were important that I now know were just dumb. But at the time, what I wanted to do in that moment was more important than my future, because I was part of that live fast, die pretty, right? I didn't really care what my life looked like in 10 years, because I lived my life like I was going to die the next day, because I probably should have been dead 5-6 times over with some of the stuff I've experienced. So I had that mentality of, I'm going to live every day like it's my last. You've heard that, right? Live every day like it's your last. But if you do that, and you like to do fun things, you're not preparing for your future. So what happens when 20 years later, you're still alive, and all of those decisions you made to have the best day ever, now you haven't prepared for your future. So then what are you going to do, right? So I found myself back in front of a judge at 17, and she was saying, listen, you're almost 18. What are we going to do with you? We can't lock you up. You keep running away. You keep doing what you want to do. Like, that's it. That's it. You're, like, we're done. Like, you're on your own. And, you know, I was working. I had jobs here and there. I had an income, but I wasn't 18 yet. But at 17, I was like, I'm an adult. I know what I'm doing more than anybody. I've got this. I'm independent. But I hadn't gone to school, right? So I was about to be a freshman for my 3rd year in a row. And all of the things that I was interested in as a kid that weren't here. I loved science. I loved chemistry. I loved animals. When I was a little kid, I wanted to be a vet. I dreamed of being a vet. I had a chance to do community service at a vet hospital once, and that's when I realized, as much as my childhood dream was to be a vet, I couldn't do what they actually did in the hospital, right? I wasn't cutting open animals. I couldn't sit there and do that. So that dream was done. Also, being a vet required school and that I didn't have. It required education that I didn't really want to go get or do. And that's when hair came. I loved hair, right? And the community where I'm from, being a hairstylist, it was like, at the time, just like what you did if you were a dropout, if you were a lowlife, if you weren't good enough to finish school. But I didn't care because I liked hair. And so what I did was I took my GED. I didn't take the classes for it. I was like, I went to a school that would take somebody who was under 18, and I just applied to get a scholarship. They said, you need to get your GED. I took my GED test. I didn't pay the money to take the classes because I didn't have it. So I took the test and I passed. Right, so here we go. Now I've got a GED and I can go to beauty school. I went to beauty school, and one thing that I learned about beauty school is I didn't learn how to be a good hairdresser in beauty school. Beauty school that get you your cosmetology license teach you how to get licensed by the state. You have to have a license in the state in order to be a cosmetologist. With that license, you can do anything when it comes to hair. You can do skin care, you can do nail care, not just hair. You can do a lot of things with a cosmetology license. Trade school, I learned more from the other students than I did from the teachers there, right? In a lot of the schools, don't spend a lot of money. If you're gonna go the cosmetology route, you don't need to spend a lot of money to go to a good school, right? Like, for instance, down here they have a Beta. That's supposed to be like the good cosmetology school because it costs more, it's a little fancier, you get more things. However, everyone that graduates with a cosmetology degree still doesn't really know how to do everybody's hair. They know how to do the hair that they've been doing in their kitchen, wherever, but they don't know how to turn it into a business, okay? There's so many things out there other than cosmetology. And one thing is, if you have something that you love to do, that you like to create with your hands, the hardest thing is to make money off of that, right? What happens when you have something you love, but now you have to do it for other people? When I do hair, when I was younger, I did it for myself. I created for myself. I did art for myself. But now that it's my business, I have to do it for other people. Okay? And that's extremely hard. And I never had anybody tell me how to cross that bridge, how to turn it into a business. Okay? Whatever you decide to do, the most important thing that you guys have that we didn't have is information. You have the internet, you even have computers in your school. Some of the alternative schools I ended up in had nothing. We didn't have free lunch, we had no computers, they gave us nothing. We were just there because there was nowhere else to be, and they just threw us together. And then if you were on work release, you only had to show up for 3 hours in the morning, and then you could go and work and make your money and do what you had to do. So where I'm getting with this is you have information at your fingertips. Right now, the way the world is going, everybody is going to be their own entrepreneur. You guys know what entrepreneurs are. You've heard the word before, right? So what does that mean? It means that everybody is their own little business. Whatever you decide to do, if it's hair, if it's like selling shoes online, whatever you decide to do with your life, the most important thing I can tell you is look up free classes on financial literacy. Okay, and because nobody told me that, and I didn't have the information. Because what happens is, I'm now 3 years as a hairdresser, I'm making money. I don't know what to do with that money. I'm spending it because now I can get things that I never could get. But I didn't have anybody sit me down and be like, what is financial literacy? It means when you are making money and you have income coming in, where does that money go? How much do you save, right? What are investments? I had no idea what investments were, or why they're important, or why all the wealthy people are always talking about investments. And those are things that you guys can learn on your own in your own free time. Okay? Financial literacy, with whatever you can do, is going to be the most important thing that any of you can take away from what I'm saying today. Right? Don't spend beyond your means. If you have a budget and you have a little bit of income in and you're saving, don't make the mistake of spending beyond your means. You don't, that Rolex, you don't need it. Those brands, you don't need it. They're not important. You can get those things later when you actually have the cash flow for it, right? There's that whole fake it till you make it thing, especially in my industry because it is fashion forward, right? And there is some truth to that. However, if you don't have the money for it, save it. Save everything that you have, right? And make it work. Another thing that I would say is one thing that I realized growing up is everybody feels like an imposter. Some of the best hairstylists that I've worked with on a national level that actually spend time on social media and have that following, they still have imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is where you're in a group and you feel like you're not good enough to be there. Okay? Everybody on every level, I've met millionaires who have imposter syndrome when they're going up to talk in front of people or they're in a group teaching. They feel like they're not good enough to be where they are, right? And that's something I wish somebody told me too. So knowing that about everybody can give you more confidence to kind of go into any situation you want to be in and be there. Another thing is show up. Show up. Go to school. Go to the things you don't want to do. If you're in my industry and there's classes that are being taught, show up. That's all you have to do. Show up, be seen, show up for yourself every day, right? And that will get you where you want to go. And I know it's hard because a lot of people, they've been dealt cards that are not fair. And life is just not fair. And some of us have a really bad hand to work with, and it's not fair that somebody has it easier. I get it. However, you can still make a really bad hand work for you. You just have to figure out how to get there, right? So now the business side of things. I want to be honest, if you are interested in cosmetology, you're not going to graduate school and start making a whole lot of money. It's not going to happen. You have to have a backup plan. I was a waitress for about 5 years before I gave up the cash that I was getting from that. Even though I was a hairstylist, I was working, I was making money there, I was getting a clientele, I still had to have that other income because honestly, I just wasn't that good. Like I was good at creating hair, but I didn't know how to build a business and I didn't know how to talk to people and I didn't know how to communicate in order to make sure that they were leaving my chair happy. Even to this day, I travel and I teach other hairstylists who are very talented. They could be the most talented hairdresser in the world doing the most beautiful styles, but they still might not have people that come and see them because they don't know how to talk to their client and they don't know how to keep them back in the chair. If someone has a really, really, really bad attitude, you might put up with them for a few times because your hair came out amazing, but over time, if they cancel your appointment, if they always run late, if they just give you attitude, it's not going to be worth it. Or if you're telling them you want a certain style and it's just not bad, it looks good, but it's not what you wanted, you're going to go find someplace else. So learning how to talk to people and communicate to people is also something that takes a long time in this industry. Some of you might go to cosmetology school, have like an Instagram following and make money right off the bat, but that's not the reality. A lot of trade that you learn from tech schools, plumbing, electrician, anything where you work with your hand, you're not going to graduate being able to do what you do on the top level. Things where you work with your hands that you craft with, you have to work with somebody who's better than you and learn from them. And you're not going to be making a lot of money doing it, right? But what you are doing is you're getting the experience on learning from them. And that's how you're going to get better. And it takes work. It takes time in order to get your skills to where they need, to where you can make more and more money on your own. Does that make sense? Okay, so now I've just been talking. I do want to talk more about the business because this is Life Press and more about cosmetology, but I don't want to bore anybody who's just like, yeah, that's not where I'm going, right?
No, it's all about
yeah, questions. Good questions.
So it sounds good. You were able to tell us about your life story, what brought you here, and some of the difficulties that you had.
Yeah. And
some of them might relate to anyone here. So at this point, if you feel comfortable about finishing your story,
yeah,
we can close this and make this a quick session. Our first time.
I can finish the story and then we can do questions.
And then we can do questions.
Right. So. By way, so I eventually quit my waitressing job, and I decided to move down to Florida, right, because I had nothing in Massachusetts except just pain and trauma, and I just had to get away. And I came to Florida because Florida at the time was like where all my friends were going to party, honestly. And I had 2 friends that moved down here. And when you're like in your 20s, your early 20s, you make a lot of decisions like that. And then you get older and you're more cautious about decisions. So, it's kind of fun to be young and take risks and do those kinds of things. So I moved down here and, I've just been working down here. I started working for myself in the pandemic because the pandemic happened and I was like, am I going to have a job? What am I going to do? Are people even going to want to get their hair done? And my clients all started calling me like, will you come to my house and do my hair? So that's how I started opening up my own business. And now since then, it's been a journey of working for myself and only myself, being my own boss, manager, managing my taxes, managing my finances, managing my clients. And eventually I plan to grow. But I will say, like, along the way, I've had a lot. It hasn't been upward growth. I've hit rock bottom so many different times. And everyone I've talked to who's successful has had the same thing. They just don't tell you about it. They don't show it on their Instagram stories. They make it seem like it's this like big, happy climb to success. And the climb to success is littered with failures everywhere. And we have a saying where we say fail up, right? And that means keep failing your way up until the top. Yeah.
Fail up.
Okay. What questions do you guys have for me?
Questions, comments, concerns, thoughts that she may have had, or you have. Well, y'all say your hand first and then second. Yeah.
So if I keep failing, I'm a fast.
Yes. The truth is, you know what? Just to lift the ball from your head. There's a famous quote from Michael Jordan. He says it's about who failed the most. Look it up. He's like, he only became the best because he failed the most. And that's what he said. Look it up. Question?
No.
I saw you raise your hand. Now you go act like you didn't have a question. You want to say something here?
It could be anything. You can ask me.
Yes, any questions?
I'm an open book.
Any other questions? He said, would you ever learn how to do small braids?
Would I? Yes. However, yeah, I would. And yeah, the nails help too. I will say like my career is successful because I do everything. I don't like doing barber cuts with clippers just because I'm weird about like all the little hair everywhere because I'm like OCD like that. But I will say I'm successful and I'm where I am now teaching for a company because anybody that they put in front of me and model, I can do. And I made sure that I learned about so many different types of people, so many different types of hair. The education that I've given myself is important too. When you finish a trade school or you like figured out where you're going with your life, like how you're going to make an income and what your life is going to look like, continuing to teach yourself is so important. Like it's the most important thing. Always, always, always be a student.
Is that all?
What? What is that?
Don't listen to him.
Bust down middle part.
He said he want to, I don't even know what he just said.
Bust down middle part.
Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. He's being funny.
Okay.
Any other questions? I have one more question.
Yeah.
About that, and this is, I'm still on the failure part. When you say you go through the plateaus of failure, when you reach those hard points, because as you said, it's not straight up.
Yeah.
You sometimes have plateaus, you go back down, you go up. What do you do? And how do you tell yourself to get back up again so you can keep going forward?
How do
What
I
are
tell
some of those
myself
things that you
to get back up again? Well, so when I don't feel like getting up for myself because I'm too tired and I'm too sad and I just don't have the energy, I think about other people that depend on me that I can get back up for, right? Like I have a daughter, so I get back up for her because I know over time the way I feel in that moment from falling so many times, it doesn't last. I let myself live in the sadness and live in the despair, knowing that it's not going to be forever, that I can get up the next day and keep on going. And that because I have a routine, I do my routine and I get up and I show up, and eventually that feeling's going to go away and I'm able to get back up again.
Yes, listen.
Do you do multiple people hair in a day, or do you just do one person?
In a day, it depends on what I'm doing, right? Like today, as soon as I leave here, I have 2 clients that I'm staying for, but I can make my decision. I would like to be like, oh, I'm only going to do one person a day, but it depends on what they're getting. If they're a big, long service that's 6 hours and they're paying me $600, yeah, I can do one person a day. It's about the time management. But because I work for myself, I can choose. I would love, there's some days where I'm like, I don't feel like working this week at all. Like, I love what I do, I love hair, but because I do it for money and I do it for other people, there's times where I fall out of love with it. And I don't want to do hair anymore. What am I going to do with my life? Like, I'm so sick of this. My body hurts. But you find a way to fall back in love with it. For me, it's my client. I like making people look good. I like making other people feel good. That's why I like what I do. You could be an average hairstylist, like just average, right? Nothing to write home about. But if your clients, if you make them feel good when they leave, they're coming back to you and you have a business. That's the most important part of the job. Yeah.
Do hair, it's good, they're coming back to you.
Yeah, so, but like, there's weeks where it's like, I don't really want to work, right? But I haven't budgeted enough money to take that week off, right? If I want to take vacation, I have to make sure I'm doing enough business in order to take that vacation. Like, I have to be hard on myself. I can't just listen to that voice that's just like, you know, you want to stay in your house and game all day. I love to game. I could do it. If I could get paid to game, I probably would quit being a hairdresser. But that does not happen because I'm not that good and I don't like Twitch streaming, so that's just not my life. But if I was younger, your age, that's probably what I would do. I would probably be a Twitch streamer. But we just didn't have that when I was growing up. Like, that wasn't a way to make money. Yeah. But you have to, where was I going with that? Yeah, so sometimes to do
wanted a sidebar question, just once, because it's funny. Because you are a gamer, he wanted to know what games you play.
Right now I'm playing League of Legends and Warframe.
Oh, you should play Fortnite.
Huh?
Fortnite. Get it, girl.
What?
Fortnite.
Can't you
Fortnite.
Can't you Fortnite?
Fortnite.
There's a reason for that.
And she's up there, Madden 25.
Huh?
Warzone, yeah.
2K25.
Warzone, 25.
Madden 25. I don't like sports games. I mostly like single person shooting games. Yeah.
Single first person shooter.
Yeah, like Warframe is like where I spend most of my time. Again, when I was your age, I had way more time to play video games. Because I'm now a responsible adult, I guess. And that's another thing. Like, I'm almost 40 and I still feel like a kid inside. That little inner kid, you gotta keep that alive.
Why every time you say you're a responsible adult?
What?
Like, why every time you talk, you say you're a responsible adult?
Because everyone I know who's my age goes through the motions, but we still feel like we're kids. Howard, we still think we're like 15, right? Like, it almost sometimes feels like you're pretending to be an adult. Right? Like, I know what I need to do to be responsible, but there's still that kid inside of me who's like, I'm just pretending, right? Even though I'm doing all the things, and I can look back and say, yes, I'm responsible, and yes, I'm an adult, you grow up and you realize, like, everybody else around you is doing the same thing, right?
Which is basically going back to the imposter syndrome. So this is another version of the imposter syndrome we were talking about earlier, where you just don't feel that you are enough for the situation, which you are.
Yeah, that's a good question, though.
But great question.
That's a really good question.
And observant.
So,
The Call of Duty.
Come on, now.
Call of Duty.
what?
He wants to know if you play Call of Duty.
Do I play Call of Duty? No. I used to play Gears of War, but I don't like realistic shooting style games. I'll shoot aliens and stuff like that with fake guns, and I'll do like ninja stuff. But I don't like Call of Duty. That is not my game.
Mr. Wright?
So first I wanted to ask, how good you like?
Remember, speak up. 'Cause-
No, you're translating for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
How good you can run and is it hurt?
She said, I got it.
Is it worth it?
Okay, that's a good question. Okay. So, if you go into any career because you see somebody makes a lot of money doing that career, but you hate it, you're never going to be happy and you're never going to make a lot of money. Somebody told me with beauty school, when I graduated, you have 3 options. You can go to a place like Supercuts where you get paid hourly and make a lot of money to start with. But you're never, even if you're really busy at Supercuts, you get paid hourly and a little bit of commission, which is a part of the money that they make up with you, you're only going to make so much. So you'll make more when you get out, and that's a good place to start, but you're never going to grow.
Could never level up.
Yeah, or you can go to what I did, which is the higher end salons where you're assistant. You're making nothing. You're cleaning toilets, you're doing errands, but you're learning from them. And that's going to take longer to make money. You're going to have 3 to 5 years where you are not making what the other stylists are making. But in those upper echelons, you can make 6 figures or higher. It just depends on what's realistic for you and how much work you're willing to put in. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
A lot of our kids, they haven't been anywhere, beyond Miami.
Yeah.
You came from Massachusetts.
Yeah. Okay.
Your journey, how did it evolve along the way?
How did I evolve along my
I mean, did you only come from Massachusetts to Miami? Did you have other stops along the way?
So I evolved by talking to everybody. Everybody has a story. Everybody is a person. And I evolved by talking and learning about everybody's story, culture, where they came from. And that made me want to leave. And now you guys have the internet. You can be in other places and still be in Miami. You can learn about other cultures and see what other places are like and still be here, right? I left because there's a lot of people that where I grew up in that did not leave the town. Like they're still there, they don't leave. And that's fine, they're comfortable, that's fine if that's what you want. But I think I had so much pain and trauma there that I had to leave. I had to go. And meeting people is what got me to learn about how big the world is and how much other stuff there was out there, right? And where do I really want to go? Where do I really want to be? Yeah?
Any other questions? Anyone else have?
Do you have any photos of your hair?
Is there what?
They want to see photos.
Do you want to see my Instagram?
Yes.
Oh, you want my Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay, alright, it's,
You got Facebook.
yeah.
What's the Instagram?
You got Facebook.
Facebook is private. Facebook is just for me and my personal stuff. Instagram is where I keep all of my work. Yeah. And then you can message me on Instagram anytime.
Well, I didn't put Instagram on this one. So I didn't put Instagram on this one.
Oh, you don't? Okay, it's at fromhair.to-there. I have to write it down.
Oh, I have it on here though.
Yeah, write it on there. Yeah, so I travel and I teach other hairdressers, and Instagram is where all of my students message me. And if you want to message me on Instagram, you can message me anytime.
What's your statement? Instagram is life, right? Isn't that what you told me? Now we're off.
So you have a notepad?
Yeah.
Go to notepad.
I'm just write it. I'm just write it. Oh, this is a.
Yeah. Do you have a notepad app?
Dogs, here, just write in dogs. Because mine is an Android, so that's why it's special.
Actually, let me do. I think you have a notepad. Okay.
From here dot to there. Yeah. Okay, it's so from here. You got it?
You got it? Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Hey, you loud.
Yes. Real quick.
Carter, look what happened to my fingernails.
Going for the 3 days.
Where's Mama? Where's Mama?
So, and that was that all the questions that anyone had? I want to say thank you guys so much. And you could also, as we go back there, we'll have some personal questions that we can have if we want to talk. Is that okay?
I'll be here for your personal questions also.
So you can come on.
Howard came to me at this with Christmas, and if there's other people that you want to hear from, right? Because I'm just a cosmetologist, but if there's other people like streamers, like if you're interested in like military and what that looks like, because we're here because like I am a product of alternative education, right? I was kind of thrown into the system and spit back out. So if there's other careers that you're interested in, let Howard know, because we can find people to come talk to you about those careers.
And that's what we want, the whole life prep.
Yeah.
You prepping people for life here. Thank you guys so much. Would you actually guys work with? I ain't hear no close words the whole 30 minutes. That never happens. 30 minutes, not one case word. That never happens. Thank you so much, Amanda.
Let me find them.
All right. Well, I guess everyone, if we can, they can go back to class. If you have the questions, probably certain people have certain separate
you didn't want to
questions
ask
to come up individually. Let's do that.
What?
He said, do you play
Do I play Roblox? No, my daughter does. So I have a Roblox account so I can go on and bother her when she's not paying attention. But my daughter plays Roblox.
You play just a pig. Do you play just a pig?
Do I what?
Do you play just a pig?
He's on Roblox, he's on.
Just
Huh?
pig.
He's trying to say dressing.
Just a pig.
Yeah. You're still trying to figure it
But
out.
it's about Roblox.
Yeah,
It's about Roblox.
like your daughter plays.
Google that guy.
Yeah, she plays it. She likes to adopt me mostly, and then like the Ninja Warrior game. Like I said, I only play Roblox so I can go find her and like bother her.
Like somebody to play with her, like something like that.
Huh?
Like she got people that play with her.
Does she what?
Like cousins that play with her.
Okay, Howard, I can't.
Oh, she said cousins to play with her. The people that I wanted to introduce you to someone for free.
Shut the fuck up. That's not what it says. That's not
I wanted you guys.